News to bring to you coming out of northeast Harris County. This is a guy on the run. You're looking at live pictures. He just crashed his car, and now he is in a foot chase with police. This is after a high-speed chase through the northeast Harris County area. Live pictures here, and there's the officer just about rear-ending him there. His hands are up. He's given up. He knows it's time, and there he goes to the ground with police officers on his back, guns drawn. And this thing has come to a quick end, a very quick end.
Andy Bass is in Sky HD now. Andy, what can you tell us? You've been following this for a while.
Yeah, we have, guys, and yeah, as you guys just mentioned, he just cracked up into another side street car that was coming northbound on that street. Not too sure exactly what happened there. Then he took off running eastbound towards the Beltway, and obviously you just saw the aftermath of it. We were, covering him for like the last 5 minutes in the northeast quadrant of Beltway 8 and I-10, and that's basically where we caught up with him. Not too sure exactly what he was running for, but they have been trying to track this guy for at least the last 30 minutes. They did have a tracker in that vehicle that he did crack up in, that silver pickup truck did have a tracker in it. They tracked him to a house, and then when we arrived on scene, that's when he took off running through this subdivision here. I'll give you a little bit of perspective. We're just east of Beltway 8 and just north of I-10. And I'm actually being asked to move to go back to the impact of there, so I'm going to peel off this and just go back to the impact of the crash of where it happened, and I'm just going to go back a little bit. And there's the crack. There's the car at the bottom of your screen. That's the one that he hit. And there's the pickup truck. And I believe that the passenger was thrown from that vehicle. I'm going to just keep a wide look because I'm not too sure exactly what is happening down there. But you can see one person is on the ground, and we got. They pulled him out of there, according to Mike, my pilot. They pulled him out of that vehicle.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can see pretty much all the police activity down there as well. That Lincoln Continental, that white Lincoln Continental at the top of your screen, was the other vehicle that was involved in this accident scene. He was traveling, the pickup truck was traveling eastbound along that little side street. The Continental was traveling northbound along the main street. Still trying to get those streets cleared out for you guys. But yeah, I believe the passenger was ejected from that vehicle while officers were in pursuit for him, and it was a massive crash, I can tell you, from Sky Eye.
Yeah, wow, we missed that crash, but I know you were up there in Sky Eye. I know you were looking at it at the time. That crash, of course, he couldn't use the vehicle anymore. Let's hope that passenger of that vehicle, or that he was in the other vehicle that was hit, right? He wasn't a passenger. He was the person driving?
It was no. I believe the person that's driving was the one that took off. I believe the passenger of the pickup truck was thrown from there. As far as I know, it was very hard. It happened really quickly. He might have been dragged out of there by the officers. Not too sure.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the actual driver, the suspect, of course, that was the one who was running down the street, and we saw that. We saw him being captured, and now handcuffs on, and in the back of a squad car. But what a chase this was! I mean, overall they were tracking him, but it didn't last actually the chase that long, right?
No, not. I mean, they had another car, believe it or not, an I-10 in the belt, and they pulled the driver out of that one, but it was the wrong driver. The plate did not match. Then they got the tracker of this vehicle, of this pickup truck, and they tracked him to the northeast coordinate, or basically of I-10 and Beltway 8 East, and that's when they picked him up in this neighborhood, and then they saw him running, and that's when we joined the chase, Art. And when we got on it, obviously he was just going through this neighborhood right here below us. He was, going pretty fast. I'd say anywhere between 40 to 50 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden, when he was heading eastbound on this little side street, and that Continental was heading northbound on the main street, and that's when basically the crash happened. Did see the driver take off on there. He ran about 4 blocks east on that little side street, and then you saw the rest of it.
And just a horrific crash, and we will have a video of some of that chase coming up in just a few minutes. Andy Bass is over that. In fact, here's that video there. This is just moments before that terrible crash as that person T-boned that suspect, then running off down one of the side streets. And after that crash, he running from that pickup truck, and you will be able to see Houston police, or just police in general, and you see the little dog there running behind him first, and then you'll see a police car coming up on another side street, coming back almost running into that suspect, stopping just before then. I believe he even lost his shoe there. He held his hands up, and then he was subdued and arrested by police. Boy, and your heart certainly goes out to the driver of the other vehicle involved in this, the driver, the passenger. This is just horrific.
Yeah, just awful to see this type of thing take place. And you're looking again at the crash site. That, again, we're going to look at the crash actually when it happened. This is the pickup truck that's running, and that was the hit. And then we're breaking away from that because people were thrown from the vehicle as a result of that crash. And there's the suspect on the run. This is the one police were chasing in that pickup truck. And watch there's the little white dog chasing him. And then you have the officer in the squad car just really trying to scare him. And that's the protocol for this type of thing. You run up to him like that and you kind of scare the guy, and he kind of gives up and realizes, you know what, it's done. I'm not going to be able to outrun these guys. There he goes to the ground. He's guns drawn, of course, immediately cuffed. He's now placed behind a vehicle in the squad car. But now look at the other officer. He's taking guard here with his gun drawn and sort of walking around the area, making sure that nobody else gets involved in this. But we wonder what he's running for.
Yeah.
Clearly, police were after him for a certain reason, and we're going to find out much more about that this afternoon, and then bringing it to you on Eyewitness News 4, 5, and 6.
And we want to go back to Andy Bass. Andy, you know, Art mentioned something that we all are wondering right now. We don't know at this point, right, Andy, why this suspect was running from police in the first place.
No, not at all. That detail's still trying to be sorted out in the newsroom, guys, but I do have some more information. We're at the corner. The intersection that they cracked up is at Nancy, Rose, and Gainesville, and the suspect was running eastbound on Gainesville, and that's when the HPD officers got him. So in the neighborhood around Beltway 8 and I-10, Nancy, Rose, and Gainesville is where this cracked up. But the news desk is still trying to answer your question, the news desk is still trying to figure out exactly why this guy was running, but they did tag him, and that's when they located him inside this development, inside this neighborhood, and obviously he knew he was going to get arrested.
Now, Andy, I want to explain to some folks here of when we show the crash, we're showing the impact, but we're not showing the continuation of that crash. And there are reasons for that. You and Sky Eye, you were able to see, now there's a reason here you're only going to see a portion of that crash, at least the impact. From that crash, after that, the passenger in the other vehicle that was hit, he was thrown or she was thrown from that vehicle. Is that correct?
I believe so, Art. I mean, it happened so quickly, and obviously once the suspect started to run down eastbound Gainesville,
that is a hard hit, and you see that. And when we froze that video there, we're looking at that video, Andy, and we've looked at it a couple of times, but on impact, wow, that is a hard hit.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to believe that they were traveling at least, you know, the pickup truck was traveling at least 50 miles an hour. The other one probably doing 30, 25 miles an hour inside the neighborhood. All right, and yeah, that crash, I mean, immediately the heart just sank for the person in the Continental. And, you know, don't know if that suspect in the passenger vehicle of the pickup truck was pulled out by HPD or if he was thrown from there. You know, I was still trying to figure that one out. Like I said, playing it back in my mind over the last 5 minutes, it just happened so quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and Andy, you and I and Art, we've seen so many of these chases that end this way, and it's certainly your heart just goes out to the person involved, the person who has no idea what's happening. They had no idea that a chase was going on, and a high-speed chase on these small streets in a neighborhood. Just your heart goes out to that person.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right,
covering cases.
Yeah, Andy, my apologies for interrupting. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here, but we will have continuing coverage on this. We're streaming this on ABC13.com. Just log it on there. You can watch the video there. We will have replays, of course, of that impact of that crash, and then the suspect on the run trying to create a foot chase, but eventually caught. And there again, the crash scene. We're going to have much more on Eyewitness News at 4, 5, and 6, and online, ABC13.com. Thanks for joining us.
The names of the suspects have not been released, neither is the name of that innocent driver. All three, again, non-life-threatening injuries. The two suspects will be charged with evading arrest and aggravated robbery. In Cloverleaf, Deborah Wrigley, 13 Eyewitness News.